Hi everyone, Monisha here. Let us move on to the new chapter, metals and non-metals. Metals and non-metals is a very important chapter, and this year they have deleted numerous topics from this. I will let you know about the topics which are deleted, and I have made three parts, three videos of it, which consist of only those chapters and only those topics which are retained for your exam for this year. And I am deleting all those topics which are not there for this year. Let us move on to the session. Before moving to the main topic, let us do a small activity. We have to name the material on the basis of appearance and hardness. I have listed some of the materials. We have to name it according to the appearance and hardness. Iron nail, coal, sulfur and copper. First object is iron nail. Appearance is shiny and hardness is very hard. The second one is coal piece. Appearance is dull and hardness is not very hard. The third one is aluminium wire. Appearance is shiny and hardness is hard. Fourth one is copper utensils. Appearance shiny and hardness is hard. There are numerous material on earth crust which are classified as metals and non-metals according to the physical and chemical properties of the particular metal and non-metal. Some of them are shiny, some of them are dull, some of them are hard, mediumly hard and very hard. According to these properties, the materials on the earth crust are divided into metals and non-metals. Let us know in detail about the basic concepts of metals and non-metals in the periodic table. First is metal. Metal is an element, compound or an alloy that is a good conductor of both heat and electricity. Metal crystal structure and specific metal properties are determined by holding together the atoms of the metal. So, metal can be considered as an element, compound or alloy which is both a good conductor of electricity and heat. So this is the basic definition for a metal. Let us know about a non-metal. Non-metals are the elements in groups 14 to 16 of the periodic table. Non-metals are not able to conduct electricity or heat very well. As opposed to metals, non-metallic elements are very brittle and cannot be rolled into wires or pounded into sheets. There are 17 elements which are generally classified as non-metals in the periodic table. Most of them are gases: hydrogen, helium, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon, chlorine, argon, krypton, xenon, radon. So these are the elements which are considered as gases in the periodic table and which are non-metals. One is liquid. So this is very important to say that a non-metal which is a liquid. This question usually appears in MCQ. Bromine is the only one non-metal which is a liquid. And there are few solids in non-metals, namely carbon, phosphorus, sulfur, selenium and iodine. So these are the elements which are solid in state. Let us know about the basic properties of metals and non-metals, which consist of both chemical and physical properties. But if they ask you specifically, you need to mention about the physical properties separately and chemical properties separately. So this is the basic and common definition or the common difference between the metals and non-metals. First property is luster, which means metallic shine. All metals have luster, that is, all metals are shiny. Non-metals have no luster, that is, except iodine and graphite, all other non-metals have no luster, that is, it is not shiny except iodine and graphite. The second property is hardness. Metals are very hard except sodium and potassium. Non-metals are not hard except diamond, which is the hardest substance on the earth crust. Third property is malleability. Malleability means property due to which a substance can be beaten into sheets. Metals are highly malleable, that it can be beaten into sheets, except zinc, antimony and arsenic. Whereas non-metals are non-malleable. That is, it cannot be beaten into sheets. It is not flexible. The next property is ductility. Ductility means property by which a substance can be drawn into wire. Metals are usually ductile except zinc, antimony and arsenic. Whereas non-metals are non-ductile except carbon fiber. So this is important differentiation, that is metals are both malleable and ductile, whereas non-metals are non-malleable and non-ductile. Conductivity. Metals are good conductor of heat and electricity except bismuth and tungsten, whereas non-metals are bad conductor of heat and electricity except graphite and gas carbon. The next property is state. Metals are usually solid except mercury and gallium. Non-metals are in all the three states: solid, liquid and gas. The last property is density. Metals have highly dense property, that is, it is high density except sodium and potassium, whereas non-metals have low density except diamond, which is the hardest substances on earth crust. There are some of the questions which they ask in MCQ, like which are the metals not very hard, that is sodium and potassium. The non-metals which are very hard, that is diamond. The non-metals which are lustrous, it is iodine and graphite. So like this MCQ questions may appear. So this basic differentiation is very important. Now let us know specifically about physical and chemical properties of metals and non-metals. Physical properties. Metals are solid except mercury. Non-metals may be solid, liquid or gas. Metals are hard except sodium, potassium, etc. Non-metals which are solids are brittle. Diamond is the hardest. Metals have metallic luster. Non-metals do not have luster. Some have a dull luster. Metals have high melting points and boiling points. Non-metals have low melting point. Metals are malleable, can be made into thin sheets. Non-metals are not malleable. Metals are ductile, can be made into thin wire. Non-metals are not ductile. Metals are good conductors of heat and electricity. Non-metals are bad conductors of heat and electricity except graphite. Metals are sonorous, means it produces sound, and non-metals are not sonorous. So these are the physical properties of metals and non-metals. We need not have to memorize all the points. At least 5 points a student has to memorize for exam point of view, because usually they asked separately about physical and chemical properties. So at least 5 points the students has to remember. Next is chemical properties. First property is oxidizing and reducing action. Metals are generally good reducing agents, whereas non-metals are generally good oxidizing agents. Metals are reducing agents and non-metals are oxidizing agents. Nature of oxides. Their oxides are generally basic in nature. In non-metals, oxides are generally acidic in nature. So metals are basic in nature and non-metals are acidic in nature. Next is nature of hydrides. Metals usually form unstable hydrides and non-metals usually form stable hydrides. Metals unstable hydrides, non-metals stable hydrides. Action with acids. Metal usually dissolve in mineral acid to form salt and liberate some gas. Non-metals generally do not react with mineral acid. So metals dissolve in mineral acid to form salt and liberate gas, whereas non-metal will not react with the mineral acid. The last chemical property is arrangement of valence electrons. Metals have 1, 2 or 3 valence electrons, whereas non-metals have 4, 5, 6 and 7 valence electrons. It is easy to remember. Metals 1, 2, 3 and non-metals 4, 5, 6, 7 valence electrons. Next we shall learn about uses of metals and non-metals. I have listed some of the important metals and the uses of it in industrial point of view. Iron, it is used for making pins, nails, nut, bolt, tools, machines, construction of buildings, bridges, etc. Aluminium, used for making utensils, wire, furniture, parts of aircraft, vehicle, machines for packing food and medicine. Copper is used for making wires, vessels, electric gadgets, etc. Gold is used for making jewelry, coins, medals, etc. Silver again used for making jewelry, coins, medals, etc. Platinum used for making jewelry, electric gadgets, plugs in vehicles, etc. Sodium compounds are used as common salt, chemicals, etc. And last is calcium. Compounds are used for making cement, glass, etc. There are various metals, but I have named only a few important metals which are used for industrial purpose. Next is uses of nonmetals. Sulfur. It is used for making sulfuric acid, salts of metals, etc. Oxygen is used for respiration by living things, burning of fuels, and nitrogen is used for making ammonia, which is used for making fertilizers. Hydrogen is used for making ammonia, which is used for making fertilizers, as fuel in rocket for welding, and chlorine is used to kill germs in water. Iodine is used as tincture, iodine, which is an antiseptic. So these are the important nonmetals and their uses. So in this video, I have taken only the basic concepts and the properties of metals and nonmetals for your better understanding about metals and the classification of metals with the nonmetals. So let us have a quick recap on these topics. So are you ready to learn? Properties of metals and nonmetals. Learning outcomes. List examples of metals and nonmetals. List the properties of metals and nonmetals. List the uses of metals and nonmetals in daily life. Compare and contrast metals and nonmetals based on their physical properties. Relate the physical properties of metals and nonmetals to their uses in daily life. Metals and nonmetals. Elements can be classified into metals and nonmetals. All metals exist in solid state at room temperature except mercury, which is a liquid. Nonmetals exist in solid, liquid or gaseous state at room temperature. Examples of metals: iron, aluminium, copper, lead. Examples of nonmetals: carbon, iodine, bromine, sulfur. Physical properties of metals and nonmetals. Metals and nonmetals can be differentiated by physical properties. Luminosity, that is shiny appearance. Ductility, ductile can be stretched out like a long wire. Malleability can be hammered or rolled into thin sheet. Tensile strength, support, pressure or load. So these are the important properties by which the metals and nonmetals are usually differentiated. Let us have a quick activity which tells you the difference between metals and nonmetals. Shiny surface are metals and dull surface are nonmetals. Metals are ductile property. Nonmetals do not have ductile property. Metals can be rolled and hammered into thin sheet, whereas nonmetals cannot be forged, that is, it doesn't have a malleable property. Metals have high tensile strength, whereas nonmetals have low tensile strength. Metals are good conductors of heat and electricity, whereas nonmetals are poor conductor of heat and electricity. Metals have high melting and boiling point. Nonmetals have low melting and boiling point. Metals have high density and nonmetals have low density. And finally, metals have good conductor of electricity conductivity and nonmetals do not conduct electricity except carbon fiber. These are the uses of metals and nonmetals in daily life. Iron, which have the high tensile strength, so it is used in railway track. Aluminium, it is light and good conductor of electricity and heat, so it is used in kitchen utensils. Copper, it is ductile and malleable, so it is used in electric wire. Tin does not rust, so it is used in electroplating of food cans. Gold does not rust and it is very shiny, so it is used in jewelry. Lead, it is ductile and malleable, so it is used in cable casing. There are some of the important uses of nonmetals also. In carbon, there are allotropes of carbon, that is different types according to their atomic structure. In carbon, graphite, which is soft and smooth and good conductor, so it is used in lead of pencils, electrodes in electrolysis and dry cells. In carbon, the another form is diamond, which is very hard substance on earth crust, so it is used in drill bits for cutting stone. Neon gas and krypton, poor conductor, it is used in light used for billboards. Last, chlorine, acidic, so it is used in killing germs in drinking water, that is purification of water. Let us have a quick activity or a homework for you students. So give two examples for each metals and non-metals. Relate the physical property of the metal. So I will be giving a use where you have to name the physical property and name of that metal or non-metal. Drawn out to become a long wire. Material of 1 cent coin. Making of cooking utensils. Making of electric wire. Making of bridges and making of jewelry. So you have to name it and comment me on the comment section. So in this video, I have included only the basic concepts and the properties, physical and chemical both, so that you have to understand what is a metal and what is a non-metal, and according to what the differentiation of metals and non-metals are made. If you have any queries, suggestions, please comment me on the comment section below. Thanks for watching. There aren't enough thank yous to express my gratitude. Thanks a lot.